Pick the Nintendo Shack and pray. Frederick from Fire Emblem Awakening says, yo.
Gosh, I'm out of it today.
Greetings, Koopalings. Should I start?
just start. Yeah, okay. You're good.
Set it out all that at the beginning. I would have just gone. Okay. Greetings, Koopalings. Welcome to this week's episode of the Nintendo Shack podcast. I'm Rebecca. I'm here with Dr. Bland. How are you doing, Dr. Bland?
I'm doing okay.
Has it been a week? Has it been a long week for you?
It's really been a week. Like today, I my eyes stared at code for like a solid 3 hours trying to figure out what I've been doing. And you know when your brain just turns slowly into like just goop, just like just brain mushy. You just think about like a problem like a little too much, like a little bit too long. Yeah, that was me. I was just.
That's when you need to just walk away for a little bit, work on something else, take a walk, come back, and then you see it immediately. Like you do it right away.
Right? Yeah. You feel refreshed. You need to talk to someone or like get a coffee or whatever. Yeah. To refresh the brain for sure. As you can tell, Rebecca, I put some new gaming decorations in the background, just trying to
I can see you're sprucing things up a little bit.
Yeah, changing the venue a little bit. That's my
What happened? Didn't you have like a lamp or a tree or something back there before? What happened to that?
Oh, we sold it. Yeah. Actually, it's a funny story.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But basically,
what kind of story is this?
So we got this Monstera plant in the corner over here, right? And it was actually pretty nice. So where we got it from was actually we found it in the kind of trash area in our apartment complex, like where you put general like loose things or whatever. You like put it near like the dumpster or whatever. I guess
for people to take.
I guess so. A neighbor just dropped a lot of good stuff in there, and we're like, "That's a good Monstera plant." So we grabbed it, took care of it for like.
Wait, was it? It was alive. Months. It wasn't a fake plant.
Oh, it was. The pot was there. Like you saw the plant. It was like actually like almost like my height. Like
wow, yeah, that's good
or something like that. And then we sold it to someone else, and I was like, okay, good.
That's the story?
That's the story. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if I have a story too. We'll see if it tops it, but I like that. I like the decoration that you've been doing.
For sure. Yeah.
It was games before, and now it's a controller for our audio listeners sitting on his bed.
Definitely.
I like it. Is that a DualShock?
It's an 8-bit though.
It's an 8-bit though. Ooh.
Yeah. I need to play with it more. Like I for sure have a lot of games on Steam and actually Switch as well. I like to use it for like 2D action games, like classic games like Mega Man and whatnot. So
it's a good D-pad.
Yeah. It's the best D-pad other than the SNES. And pretty much.
I approve.
That's why I get it.
My own story, I did a little bit of driving around trying to shop today. You know how today is the release date for the Splatoon 3 OLED, the Splatoon 3 Special Edition OLED. I guess that's how they're titling it.
Yeah.
And I think I had talked a couple weeks ago about how I only want the Joy-Con. I don't want the Switch itself because I already have a Switch OLED. I love it very much. I just want the Joy-Con because they're beautiful. Well, I found somebody who wants just the dock, and he found somebody who just wants the Switch without anything else. So we decided, you know what, we'll split this 3 ways. Only one of us needs to get a pre-order, and then we're good. We're square. And for anyone who has been following, they did not put up pre-orders online for this console. They never went up, just sold day of
Right.
online and in
It's just
store.
random.
So I waited up until midnight last night, hoping that some of the orders would go up on like at midnight on, the day of. Nothing. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to bed. I decided that I would go to Target at 8 a.m. I had to be at work like around 8:30, 9-ish. I didn't really have a set time
Perfect
today.
timing.
So I would go early. I would be there in line. And when I woke up this morning, I saw that orders had gone up online overnight. So I'm like, I'm going to just check. I'm probably too late, but I got a Best Buy order in online. So I'm like, perfect. Like, I'll order it. I'll pick it up after work. Everything's great. So I do that and I go after work to pick it up and they didn't have it. They said, oh, we have your order, but the Switch consoles aren't coming in until next week, like next Friday, September 2nd.
Weird.
And I'm like, oh, man, like that's so annoying. Okay, like I guess I'll wait. But then like, it'll be late by the time I get it. It'll be late by the time I send it off to the other guys, so on and so forth. But you know what? First world problem. Who cares? So I'm driving home and there's a Target on the way home. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have anywhere to be. Let me press my luck a little bit. So I go into Target, go all the way to the back, where their consoles are. And at first I only saw the regular console, the Switch consoles. But then I saw there was exactly one left of the special edition Splatoon Nintendo Switch
That's
OLED.
looking good.
The box art is beautiful. Yeah, I'm very excited about these Joy-Con. The dock is really cool. My friend who's getting the dock, I can see why he wants it. It is a cool design. I think this is one of their nicest special editions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel my Best Buy order because I'm not going to be a person that keeps both and like scalps it. Like I'm not going to do that. Let somebody, who wants it, it'll be in the store for them. They'll get it.
Exactly. So when I initially saw it in the video revealing it, I was like, oh, that looks gross. Oh, it looks tacky or whatever. But now I'm looking at it from like actual demonstrations in real life and showing off the design, I'm like, that actually looks great. Like the way
I think it's pretty subtle. Designed. Like it has some of the Splatoon language on it, some of the symbols. I just really like the gradient. I think this is the first time that an official Joy-Con has had like a gradient design like this. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And like I always thought they should lean into that a little bit more. So
for sure.
I'm excited. So
Skyward Sword had a little bit of design, but other than that, I can't think of it. All others were solid color. I think.
I believe so. The Animal Crossing ones have that's what I have on my Switch right now, actually. It has the pastel colored, and then on the back, it's like a white.
Okay.
But like, cool. I wouldn't call that like a gradient or anything. So yeah, this is the first really cool one, in my opinion. Yeah. So that was my story. Cast your vote now. Whose story was better, the Monstera story or the Splatoon 3 OLED story? But the Splatoon demo is live right now. So the Splatfest demo is tomorrow, but anyone who's planning on taking part in it, I recommend doing what I did. Download it now. You can actually go in and do the tutorial first. So if like you've never played Splatoon before, or it's been a while, you need to like get the hang of things again, you can go through the demo. They let you walk through the entire hub, like the lobby, the hub area. And I don't know if you did it, Garrett, if you downloaded this, but it is big. Yeah. It's big. Did it surprise you how big it is compared to the other hub worlds?
I didn't explore as much. I just like went through the tutorial. I chose the team, and that's pretty much it. And I looked for your sign actually, and I actually found it.
You found it! Yay! Oh my god, that makes me so happy. I drew I didn't draw. I wrote, it's not just a boulder. It's a rock from SpongeBob. I love it. Had to do it. Team Rock.
Yeah. But other than that, I didn't explore as much the hub world. So
you can't really do a whole lot yet. They're like setting up for the Splatfest. They always like do the days leading up to it, the decoration and stuff. I think that's kind of cool how like if you play Splatoon every day, like leading up to the Splatfest, it's pretty cool that they show, they have like some boxes laid out. They have like some construction stuff getting ready. It's like really nice world building that they do. And it's cool that they did that for the demo as well. You can't buy anything in the stores yet. You can't even do
You can
the testing
switch
range yet.
clothes, right?
You can. They
Like,
give you like some clothes and some weapons to try out for tomorrow, but you can't really do much else with them. So it's like a good little taste of like how much the game is going to have to offer. I found the little spot where they will have the card tabletop game. I'm sure you will be spending a lot of time there.
Definitely.
So yeah, definitely recommend just kind of diving into that right before, sometime before you do the Splatfest, because you're not going to want to do that when the Splatfest is going on, because it does take, a couple minutes to do.
For sure.
Other than that, this week, I've still been working on my retro games on stream. Not Nintendo, but I played Nights into Dreams. Have you ever heard of that game before? It's a Sega game.
Of course. Yeah.
Really?
I heard it back in the day. Yeah. I remember the character very well. That was only the latest Sega games I actually heard of before they just went kerplunk. Like they just went away with the console.
That game is so bizarre. It is definitely
really?
like supposed to be like a wacky dream. You know how when you're dreaming, like things don't always make sense. They're always like a little bit weird, especially like if it turns into a nightmare, things aren't really how they're supposed to be. Like the ground might be like, squishy, or, it's just like weird things happen in dreams that don't make sense in real life. It's a lot like that. There's no tutorial. It throws you into it. I won't go too long into it, but like it was a lot of fun once I realized what you're supposed to do.
And do you like kind of just go through like obstacles, like you fly? Kind of,
yeah,
right?
So you fly and you have to collect these orbs, and it's very weird, the perspective. I was very disoriented at first because it's kind of side scrolling, but it's also kind of 3D. Like it's totally 3D when you're not flying, which is weird. I would say like we always call these pixel games 2.5D. This game is actually 2.5D. This is very much like in the middle. Like it's, it's not even like as a side scroller. It's like a cylinder that you're going around.
Yeah.
Remember those Mario Odyssey levels where like you were going around the cylinder? It kind of felt like that.
Cool.
It was cool.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So I beat that after some struggle. And now my new struggle is another Sega game, Echo the Dolphin from the Genesis. Oh my God. Everyone warned me how horrible this game would be. And it is so cryptic and it's pretty tough. And it like, I feel like
game
is such a meme. Like it is like it takes itself too seriously. I think like it doesn't quite have that like not taking itself too seriously. It's like a little bit over the edge, I think. I don't know. It's kind of funny. What do you do in
that game?
You like literally do dolphin stuff. Like I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like such an idiot because I needed help getting out of the tutorial because I didn't know what to do because there's no direction. There's nothing at all. Like I'm literally using a guide through this game. You use your sonar and you swim and like bonk your head against enemies and you eat fish to regain health and like do dolphin stuff.
Wow.
It's very bizarre. No, but there's like little puzzles to figure out in each level. You have to like rescue some dolphins in one level. You have to like unlock these weird crystal things with keys. I play this on Nintendo Switch Online, so that's why I'm choosing to talk about it in a little bit more depth here because it's the first time that I downloaded the Genesis Switch Online app to play this.
Great.
Now that I have it downloaded, like I kind of might check out some of the other games, like just because they're there, but I don't know. This one definitely did not age well, but I'm determined to finish it.
Oh, there you go. There's a lot of great Genesis games in that Switch Online.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very like uneducated when it comes to Genesis games or like Sega in general, just because I didn't grow up with it. Like I don't know. You can hand me the SNES library and I can like tell you, oh, this one's worth trying. This one's worth trying. Avoid this one. Avoid this one. But with the Genesis library, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I mean, I've heard of this game. I've heard of that game. I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know what's worth trying or not. So I got to do a little bit of research.
Rebecca, I would talk to Ryan Turford.
Is he the Genesis guy?
He is the Sega guy.
The
Like,
Sega
he
guy.
grew up
Okay.
with
I like
Sega
it.
Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega CD. He's all over it. Whenever I talk with him over the RPG cave, I can assure you, he will talk about one Sega RPG, and he
Do we
goes
need to make
really into it.
a spin-off called the Sega Shack on PSVG?
Yeah. And Ryan would lead the charge in that one.
I'm
He
sure.
would absolutely love it. I've been playing a little bit of Shining Force from the Sega Genesis collection or whatever. I don't know if you heard of Shining Force before, but
I have, yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't know anything
I
about it,
guess
but
it's a huge series, and it originated from Camelot, actually. So, and it's pretty approachable from like a classic tactical RPG. It's actually way more approachable than Fire Emblem was back then, I think.
oh, okay.
So it was actually pretty cool. Lots of great role-playing games in the Sega Genesis route for sure. So
That's interesting. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been up to this week?
Of course, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Of
As
course,
expected.
the name tag in the stream, it's good to keep a record, or how they say in British, record all the time.
I didn't get the reference. Is this a Xenoblade thing? Record.
Yeah, so every time you save, the main character says this line, and it just bogs into your mind. Just like, yeah, every time you save, it's good to keep a record. I'm like, oh, no, please. Every time I go into combat, it's the same lines over and over again, and then every time you save, it's this line over and over again. It's so British, Yarden, no joke. The British voice accents, it's kind of and they put like British slang in there too, like snuffing and sparkin. And I've never heard of sparkin and snuffing. Those are the two words in there that keeps on, instead of saying like, oh, freaking A, it's like, oh, snuffing A. I'm like, what is this word?
I think it's snuff, like you snuff out a fire or something, like you snuff out a flame.
Yeah, I don't know. Snuffing, it means something, I guess.
And sparking? What's sparking?
I don't know. Like, again, a filler word in between, like, to describe something. It's interesting to say the least. But anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has been fantastic still. I've been just doing a lot of side quests. I'm like 35 hours in, and I'm still in chapter 4. And
weren't you on chapter 4 last week?
Yeah, I'm still in chapter 4. I'm just doing a lot of side quests. I'm grinding. There's a lot of, like, in this game, there's a lot of colonies, like kind of separate settlements all across like this huge map. And so every time you go to a colony, it's like, here's a hero quest. Here are 5 side quests. It's going to have its own story. It's going to add to the piece to the puzzle to your main story. Like, it's actually kind of cool how they piece all these colonies together and how they relate to one another. Because the two teams, Kevs and Agnes, they're kind of the ones facing each other, and you meet both colonies at the same time, and you figure out the main leaders in there, and they become your heroes, and you figure out the characters and the personalities. Both good. So yeah, they're both great. Yeah. Okay.
Like good, like benevolent.
They are fine. They're being controlled by this overarching kind of evil puppet or mastermind or whatever. Okay. I don't want to get into spoiler territory. It's been really, really good so far, though.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're still enjoying it. It sounds like like we talked about last week, the side quest issue is better this time.
Oh, so much better. Oh, way better. Yeah. Cool. I've just been really digging into the side questing and just grinding, leveling up. I like over leveling for sure. 13 hours later, and I'm still in chapter 4. That's what Donnie said. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm almost done with chapter 4, actually. About to wrap it up. So yeah, I think closer to the end of the story, I like to rush, get really into the story more because I'm really invested. But in the beginning, I'm just like, okay, let me just do every little side thing because it's just still near the beginning. So
right, you might as well.
Mm-hmm.
Medi in chat says chapter 4 is crazy with lots of Ys.
I hear every chapter is crazy with a bunch of Ys. Like, it keeps getting crazy. I heard chapter 5 was crazy too, at the end. And I thought chapter 3, I was like, wait, what just happened? Like, what's going on after like this kind of big reveal in chapter 3? So they keep you on your toes, for sure. And I like doing the side stuff because I've become like really over leveled, and it becomes pretty easy to just go through the story. I don't like.
I'm sure it helps. If you're
as
taking your time
yeah.
through it, you're on chapter 4 for so long, it'll put you in a better place when you do finally move on with the story.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't changed difficulty yet. Normally I like put it on easy, but now I'm just fine looking at other side quest stuff and then getting into the main stuff.
Cool.
Main storyline. The next thing I've been playing, like sometimes I just have like 20 or 30 minutes of free time, and you always want to go back to comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is 100% comfort food for me. I've been playing this game since like it ever came out in 2012. That's Borderlands 2.
Ooh.
And I love this game so much.
I think you bring that one up every once in a while, and it always surprises me that you're into that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was surprised last time he brought it up.
Yeah. For everyone who doesn't know, Borderlands, the series made by Gearbox Software, they're up to Borderlands 3, and then the latest game was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's a first-person shooter, very comedic. It's like kind of just like I don't know what kind of comedy you want to call it. Just it's not cringe. It's just very laughable, very jokey. It's not meant to be really funny. It's just some of the characters are a little zany. I like the story behind Borderlands 2 the most. I love and what draws me to Borderlands 2 specifically is building up your characters, for sure, and leveling them up. Yeah, I do have it on Switch. I've been playing this one on Switch. I've played it previously on Xbox 360, PS4 for a long time. I did a run through on PC, and now I'm playing on Switch.
Everywhere.
And it plays great. Oh, I love this game so much. Like
so
it's
Borderlands 2 is or Skyrim is
Mm-hmm.
like My Link to the Past. Like no matter what system they put it on, I will buy it and play it.
Yeah, and it was more like the PS4 version was like, here's like, it's updated. You get all the DLC and characters.
That's fair.
So
yeah,
you get everything in one package on like that set of consoles. Then I wanted on PC to play it with other friends on there. So I grabbed it on. And it actually became pretty cheap. Like you can probably get Borderlands 2 Game of the Year edition for like $3 or $4
How
now.
is it on Switch?
It's great. It's great on Switch. It plays really well. Did you know that they made this game? They ported this to PlayStation Vita back in the day.
No way.
Yeah, it was like 2014 or whatever, and they had to sacrifice a lot of stuff, but they made it work. I don't know how, but they made it work on Vita, and it's really good on Switch.
What's it? Borderlands Legacy Legendary Collection? Is that
so? There's the Borderlands Legacy Collection involves Borderlands 2 and then Borderlands the pre-sequel, and then all of its DLC with both.
It's on sale right now for anyone who's interested in checking it out. It's $19.99 instead of $49.99. That sounds like a pretty good price.
That's a really good price for 2 games. And what I really like about Borderlands as well, lots of replayability because you choose a character and you like level them up and has a certain class to it. And then you can replay the game with other characters as well. I like the special skills that are in there. You get, it's a first-person shooter. And the big grab as well is the loot system, where lots of guns just kind of drop from enemies. And based on, like, a loot system, you can get really good weapons as you go throughout the game. I really like it.
What is the Handsome Collection? Is that DLC?
That's what I mean. Sorry, they made it a name. There's so many different names. The Handsome Collection is both 2 and pre-sequel, I think. Hold on.
That one's on sale for $9.99. Okay,
what's the legendary? The legendary collection includes Borderlands 1 as well. That's
so for $10 more you can get 1.
Yeah, you can get Borderlands 1, 2, and pre-sequel for $19.99 on Switch. Okay. That's a really good deal.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah, you can probably, like, if you just want to play through it once and all of its DLC, that's probably a good 60, 70 hours of gameplay for one character.
Especially if
for
you're
3
saying it's a
games.
good port too.
It's a great port for Borderlands 2, at least. I'm sure Borderlands 1 and pre-sequel are great too. They're not very high graphically demanding games. They came out, Borderlands 1 came out, they all came out on the 360 and PS3. So they should be able to be running on Switch pretty well. Really like it.
Cool.
But yeah, Borderlands 2 specifically is my comfort food. I put podcast on, like, it's my podcast game because I know exactly what's going on in that story. Yeah. So and it actually plays really great on handheld as well. And so I got my Hori Switch Joy-Con controllers back on it and just been playing that in the morning.
Cool.
It's been really nice.
Awesome.
Also been playing Golden Sun.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm a good ways in. I got my 4th party member.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I like the puzzle in that dungeon specifically. I still have major gripes with it from what I've said previously in terms of just like how aimless it is and there's lack of strategy. But other than that, I'm still making good progress. I'm going through a guide. Like, I don't care. Like, I just
think that's okay. That's okay.
I can get to the end.
Yeah. So you have gripes with it. It's not a perfect game, but you're enjoying it enough to keep going with it.
Yeah, the puzzles are actually the 2 I've encountered are pretty good. So yeah, for what it's worth.
Maybe I'll get back to that game at some point.
I want to also mention thank you everyone for the awesome feedback from last week with the Switch Pro and Steam Deck comparisons. It seemed that a lot of people were into it. One person corrected me on Twitter, and I'm glad they did. I can't believe it, Rebecca. You did not correct me on this. How dare you?
What did I miss?
The Steam Deck GPU, I said, has 2 compute units. It's actually 8 compute units.
Oh, wow. I definitely can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, I can't believe you missed that either. Wow, that's crazy.
Okay, well, that's okay. People are picking it apart and, reading what you're putting out there. That's good.
Sure. So a lot of great discussion from that. Hopefully we'll get a Switch Pro and it will be awesome.
Maybe. It is worth mentioning, I think, before we jump into the news, I think this is, I guess, part of news, but I think a good segue into that, talking about like a Switch Pro and whatnot. The price increase of the PlayStation 5 in almost every region except for the United States. I know this is a Nintendo podcast, but I feel like that's worth mentioning. And Garrett, was it you or somebody else? I saw some talk on Twitter talking about how, I don't know if it was you that said this. Tell me if it was that now people are talking about, well, what if the Switch gets a price increase? What if, Xbox gets a price increase? Both of them have come out and said, no, we don't plan to. But in some ways, and this kind of resonated with me, that Nintendo's price increase kind of in some ways was the OLED. It almost feels like it was a good excuse for them to increase the price while and I know that there's upgraded parts, the OLED screen, can't have been too cheap for them to do, but I don't know. I feel like that's like a good excuse where it's like not a Pro, it's not like brand new series of hardware, but this is what we're going to have on our shelves. And when I went into Target today, there were only OLEDs on the shelf. You could not get,
interesting.
You could get a light, but you couldn't get the original OG Switch. And I feel like this is their way of like, okay, well, this is our price increase. This is what we're offering to our consumers now as the main Switch. What do you think?
I mean, you're onto something. I mean,
it wasn't you that said that. I stole this from someone else.
Yeah, I did not say this.
Okay.
I didn't compare.
Whoever said this, I stole it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Nintendo releasing that Switch OLED selling it, but I think they did it way better than Sony did with their messaging.
Oh yeah. At least you're getting something better out of it. Like you're getting a better screen, you're getting an Ethernet port. It's maybe not a huge amount of new stuff, but it's not increasing the price of the same exact product.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to, sell the OLED off as a premium product, not as much as like, hey, you're gonna get better performance or whatever, but like an OLED screen in a new dock, it's just enough to be like, hey, we'll just, put an extra $50 in there. And then, as you said, slowly transition off the OG switches away. Let there be only OLED switches there. I feel like that's the shadier but easier way to go for Nintendo. It's like we didn't really argue about it too much, I would say, when it got priced at $350. I think we actually went on the other way. It's like, hey, if you're getting a Nintendo Switch, might as well get a Switch OLED because you're getting a better screen. Even it's only $50 more. We're kind of like, not saying Team Nintendo, but we're just saying it kind of makes sense to us. If you're playing on handheld, you would prefer to get the Switch OLED. If you're playing exclusively docked, get the OG Switch and save yourself $50. With Sony, they went I don't know what their marketing is, because it's definitely not with the consumers or with the fans at all. It's quite the opposite. And it's kind of direct too. It's not like shady or sneaky or whatever. They're straight up telling you it's $50 more on all of these markets. And
except for the United States.
We're not increasing the price in the United States, even though inflation is happening. You guys are struggling, but hey, we're struggling too. And we gotta make a business
Sony. Boo and freaking who.
And they decided to.
My theory of why they're doing this, right? And I think I stole this theory. I don't think this was an original thought. I read everything on Twitter and they become my thoughts. I've seen people argue that, they're going to make some more money in other markets selling it at a higher price. I don't think that's what they're doing here, though. I think that they see that there's a shortage all over the place, including the United States. There are people that still can't get a PS5. This thing is going to come out 2 years ago in a couple months. And by raising the price in other markets where the PlayStation is already the dominant console, they're able to dedicate more of the consoles to the United States, where they have more of a competition with Microsoft. So they're going to try to make them more available in the United States as you've been having trouble getting one. We want to make them more readily available to you because we want to be a more prominent force in this, region.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's like a bunch of executives at Sony looking at the inflation. It's like, hey, we can save X amount of money if we just increase the price in the countries that, no matter what, it's not going to change the sale projections. We have a sales team right here. You increase that $50, it's not going to matter at all. And boom.
That could be true too.
A clear business decision, I think.
It's so frustrating because I know people outside of the United States. I'm thinking of somebody in particular who lives in Canada, who wants a PlayStation 5 but can't get one because the only way that they are available are in bundles that are marked up at least $100. And Canadian prices are insane, first of all. And now they're going to be even more expensive, and they're bundled with these games that nobody wants. Like, sorry to NBA 2K fans, nobody wants that game. I'm sorry. Bundled with their PS5. I'm sorry. Come on. And I don't know. I think that's another problem. I think that Sony is making some bad decisions, and we don't have to get into it on a Nintendo podcast, but I just wanted to bring it up because I think it is relevant for the Switch and a potential price point for the Switch Pro.
Yeah, what would be the price for a Switch Pro? Is it going to be $400? That's a scary thought. It's like,
I don't know. It definitely gives Nintendo, I think, more leeway to price it higher now because of that. It won't be as much of a sticker shot.
Yeah, I guess so. I just Sony's messaging on this is just really poor. That's all. If they would have raised the price, I don't know how else they would have done it, to be honest with you. I'm not a marketing team, but the way they did it about relating to inflation and how they're struggling, it's
It's
like
poor.
yeah. And
It's
but at
bad.
the end of the day, we're complaining about it. But at the end of the day, I think from just a marketing perspective, it's not going to change other than what they predicted. It's like, it's going to save us this amount of money. Boom. There you go. That's what's going to happen. Donnie said he pre-ordered NBA 2K, by the way, Rebecca.
I'm so sorry, Donnie. Nobody else cares. At this point in 2020, like no, nobody is buying a PS5 for that bundle. No.
Well, I mean, he brings up a good point. NBA outsells most games every year. I feel like a lot of the sports games in general, like you're gonna have a package like FIFA with PS5 a lot too. But
sure, but I don't know, if you're waiting for a PS5 and you can't get one, and that's the only way to get one, it stings that you have to pay $100 more or whatever there, because they're bundling it with extra controllers, extra peripherals, extra games that you don't want, when you just want the option to pick and choose.
Yeah, no, I agree with you for sure.
So I don't know.
Sorry for people out there getting a price increase. Get an Xbox Series S, $300. Well, probably a little bit more where you're in locally, but it's way more affordable than a lot of the other options. Or just
what about the people who want these Sony exclusives, though? There's a lot of people that want to play The Last of Us Remastered next month.
Well, you're going to have to bundle it up and get your PlayStation 5 if you want it, or you can just wait till PC. I think but in actuality, most players, like
next week.
I would say, I'm thinking India, I'm thinking like other developing countries too. They mainly get the console for sports games, FIFA, NBA. It's like there's another option now for them, a much more affordable option, I think.
Not more affordable when you're raising the price of the console by $50.
No, I'm saying like Xbox. Like you can go to Xbox, you can go to PC if you want. So yeah, stuff like that.
Sony's questionable this direction.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
in Nintendo news, we had this week a Splatoon 3 Treehouse Live, so that we could get an in-depth look of the Splatoon 3 news that we had learned last week. I love Treehouse. They showed off some of the single-player campaign, which I was very curious about, the return of the mammalians.
Yeah.
Because I was not a fan of the single-player campaign in Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2.
Right.
But fortunately, it doesn't look exactly like what I wanted it to, but the stages are formatted more similarly to Octo Expansion, where you get to choose between the 3 weapons, and it's kind of like a difficulty setting, like if you want to do it easy, medium, or more difficult, depending on what kind of weapon you're choosing, higher risk, higher reward type of thing. You play as Agent 3, who they specified as a new iteration of Agent 3. It's not the previous ones. They showed off many of the new weapons, subs, specials, like the Splatana, the Trizuka, the Crab Tank looked really cool. They also went into the test range to show off a lot of these weapons and specials. Just bigger. It takes place in the multiplayer lobby. So now, instead of like waiting to be sorted into a match, waiting for your match to start, waiting for everybody, you can go into the testing range and play around, test your weapons. They have more features like a copy machine AI that you can copy your weapon onto it, and it does like the same stuff that you do. So like you can try some defensive moves and whatnot. Also during the campaign, the little salmonoid small fry, it can be used as a sub weapon, and you can like throw him at enemies. It kind of reminded me of Pikmin, where you can throw him at enemies and he'll attack them, and then you can call him back. Cool. It's so cute. Really cool. I really like him. I really hope nothing bad happens to him during the story. I can definitely see it being like a Terrico from Age of Calamity type of situation, where he's so cute and then everything bad happens. They did show off some of the new multiplayer stages, like Scorch Gorge and Eel Tail Alley. They look cool. I like them. They look very inspired. They showed off a little bit of the locker decoration and those nameplates that you can customize, kind of make them look however you want. Other players can see them. And then finally, they showed off the Splatoon OLED and Pro Controller.
Yeah.
Reminded that it was out this week. The Pro Controller comes out on the 9th along with the game. And just a reminder, the Splatfest demo is tomorrow. If you're listening to this audio, it's probably today, Saturday, the 27th, from 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time.
Yeah.
And then it lasts 12 hours. Remember, the first half is normal Splatfest, and then the second half is that tricolor Splatfest. So if you want to make the most of it, plan to play a little bit during the first half of those 12 hours and a little bit during the second half if you want to try both things. Will you be taking part in the Splatfest rock, paper, scissors?
Yes, I thought it was Sunday as well. Is it just tomorrow?
It is just tomorrow.
No way. Hold on.
Yes,
I'm just confirmed. Oh, it's only tomorrow.
It's only tomorrow.
I'm gonna
Do you have plans?
tomorrow. I have a lot
For
of
12 hours, you're going to be busy?
It's literally my busiest Saturday in the longest time. So
Oh,
I
man.
I can probably sneak in a couple rounds like for 30 minutes. But yeah, I'll definitely try it out if I'm able
Try
to.
to do the second half if you can, because that's what's going to be
Yeah.
different. Like, that's going to be the new thing. Like,
True.
you've done Splatfest in the past. Like, you know how they work. But I'm really interested
sure.
in seeing how the try stuff works.
Hashtag Team Rock. Let's go.
Team Rock. Yes, Adam wrote in and asked us, what team will you be playing as during the Splatfest? And why is it the only correct answer? Definitely Team Rock.
Team Rock.
I mean,
beats
it's obvious,
everything else.
right? It beats everything.
It can like I don't understand this paper covering or whatever. You can destroy paper with rock.
If I held up a sheet of paper, you could throw a rock and it would put a hole through it.
It would tear. It would destroy. So yeah, Team Rock all the way.
Absolutely.
Let's see how that goes.
I mean, if you need more convincing, rock music is so good. Rock's there. It's the oldest. It's the oldest out of the three of them. It predates paper. It predates scissors. It's
from the earth.
It's from the earth.
It's not just a boulder. It's a rock.
It's
guys.
a rock.
It's a rock.
A rock. So yes, I will be streaming. Some people asked in chat, will I be streaming it? Yes, I will be. I will stream part of the first half and part of the second half. So look out for that. Cool. They also showed off Harvestella in the treehouse. Yeah. Did you watch any of that? Because I did not.
I did watch it. Okay. It looks very much like a clone from like Rune Factory or Atelier Ryza, kind of, where you control this this one character in third person, and you like, it's kind of like Stardew Valley, where you go throughout the day and like just get harvest some crops, or plant some crops in the morning, and you go out on an adventure and you go through certain areas and obstacles. You get crafting items, come back. There's a town. It just seemed like it lacks identity to me.
Is this Square Enix?
In general, this is Square Enix. Yeah.
Okay. Why did they have this game in the treehouse?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Because this is a Switch exclusive. Oh. Yeah, it is Switch exclusive.
Did not know that.
I don't know what Square Enix's angle though, because they have so many different games. This must have been another contracted developer, or a smaller developer in house, kind of developing this game. Maybe they wanted to try this out, but it's very much like Rune Factory 4. It's very much like Atelier. Rise, but Atelier Rise is a little better. This looks very mid-tier. It doesn't look. It looks boring.
I do feel like this genre is really oversaturated at this point. And if you don't have something that is like you said, the identity, it's something that's making it stand out, it doesn't interest me. I don't know. Farming sim, been there, done that. I don't know. I've done it too many times. What's interesting?
There wasn't really much of a hook to me. Looking, and then you go out into adventure and do the hack and slash, you can defeat monsters, whatever. You upgrade your weapons. But yeah, I was like barely just paying attention just because of, oh, I've seen that before. I've seen
What's
that
the art
before.
style? Is it
It's
ugly?
yeah, it's like even think of a Talia Ryza, like that kind of art style, but less animated and just I don't
Looking it
know.
up.
It just looks like an Upred's RuneScape graphics or something like that.
Really?
It yeah, it doesn't look that. I mean, it looks fine.
Uh,
I wouldn't showcase this. Look what the Switch can do. It can do this game. It definitely not like that.
yeah, you're right. Huh.
Um, it looks boring. And then, man, I could not handle the Treehouse people here. I actually really like the Treehouse people in Splatoon 3. They were actually pretty cool
Oh,
going
was it
through the
different
game.
people?
Oh, completely different people. The person controlling the game was way too bubbly. Just like, ooh, I'm resting here. Ooh. I'm like, oh, please stop. Like, this is like cringeworthy right here.
I kind of want to
I
check that
can't.
out.
Yeah, she got
Like, did it feel like
into
fake enthusiasm?
very fake. Like,
Wow.
yeah, she did a little too much on playing the game, like trying to be so much fun with it. And I'm just like, just show
People
off the
can see
game.
through that. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that Harvestella is coming out later this year, exclusively on Switch, published by Square Enix. I don't imagine this game going like crazy on the sale charts or anything like that, though. It'll be. I think Square Enix knows what they have, and they're like, okay, just let it release and let it die on the vine like Babylon's Fall. Just let it
One
go.
little push to get it in a treehouse. I don't know. They probably like said something to convince Nintendo, like, "Hey, you already have this event showing off Splatoon. Please just tack on our game at the end so that some people know it exists."
Yes, I know it looks like Rune Factory. Okay, that's okay. Just have it out there. So, anyways,
Okay.
Harvestella, not excited for it.
Get hype. So a lot of people know that Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Super Smash Bros., posted a screenshot of the day every single day faithfully for, what was it, at least 2 years, maybe more.
It was quite a while. Yeah.
It was a while. It was a couple years. And he said it's coming to an end, but he has a new project right around the corner. And he announced it this week. It is a YouTube channel that he's starting. So this is actually really cool. I haven't had a chance to go check out the videos yet, but there already are a handful of videos. What did we say? Like about 4 of them already that he put
There's
up.
4 out, and they've been constantly coming out. It was like 2 in the beginning, and then like 2 days ago and 1 day ago. Like,
okay, so he's
been
turning it out already.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
it's so far about like his experience with creating games, and I'm really interested in this channel. I'm going to check it out this weekend because I feel like he has a wealth of knowledge with just how long he's been in the industry, how hard he works in the industry, his connections. He made Kirby, for crying out loud. Like, I don't know. I feel like he knows so much, and like he just has this experience that the fact that he's sharing that with us is kind of unheard of for people in his position. He already is doing quite well with subscribers, already surpassing 300,000. I subscribed. I'm definitely excited to check this out. Did you watch it yet?
No, I didn't watch any of it yet, but I subscribed to it, and his videos are they're less than 10 minutes, and they look pretty cool.
That's a good like chunk to take in.
Yeah, for sure.
I also read I think he tweeted, it was today maybe, that he was looking at other YouTubers in the industry, like the gaming content creation industry, and looking at them for inspiration with what they create, when trying to decide what to do with his channel. And that just makes me think, like, oh my God, like what channels did he check out? Like, did he only check out, predominantly Japanese creators? Did he check out Western creators as well? Like, could you imagine like your YouTube channel? Like, there's probably some
featured
creators that like that he, watch, and people are probably like, oh my God, you watched my channel. But yeah, I think that's really cool. I think we've said for a while how cool it would be if some of these, big name creators put out a book or whatever of their experiences, of their knowledge. YouTube channel, I'll take it. That's really cool. Good on him.
Yeah, it seems like, he's doing something, and also Hideo Kojima, he's doing a podcast. Like he's starting
I heard
up a
about that
podcast
too.
yeah, exclusively on Spotify. It's interesting to see more of these Japanese developers like, hey, we can do this too. We can create content on the side and be fine, be within the confines of whatever, but still make cool content, which is awesome.
Because I feel like a lot of these times these developers are like, especially in the Japanese culture, are very closed off about these things. So it's nice to see some of the inside perspective. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I need to check these out for sure. Yeah. He has Kirby's Dream Land, Stop for Big Moments. That's the title of these YouTube videos. He goes through creative works and frame rates. I'm intrigued for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Game Freak confirms this week that Pokemon Legends Arceus started its development before the launch of Sword and Shield. This is kind of crazy. Okay. So they shared information during the talk during a talk that they held at the Computer Entertainment Developers Conference that the game started development in the fall of 2018. That's a whole year before Sword and Shield launched. They also shared that Scarlet and Violet started development in late 2019, which was around this time of Sword and Shield's launch. So that means that Scarlet and Violet will have been in development for 3 years by the time they release. I feel like we always are like talking about, how Pokemon, they churn out a new game every year. They're like, well, why can't they work on a game for a little bit longer? Arceus just came out, Brilliant Diamond just came out. I know that was a different developer, but like, that they're churning out these games so quickly, we don't realize like how far in advance some of these games started their development, which I feel like is almost a bad thing, like to say with like the quality of game that we're getting here, dare I say. But like, I don't feel like I'm looking at Scarlet and Violet and saying, yes, that's a game that's been in development for 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah. Game Freak always had the cadence of a yearly release, whether it be a remake or Let's Go or a main game. They've been churning it out for sure. And I think, I really like this because Legends Arceus was kind of like a pivot for them, right? They're like, okay, let's think about this a little bit more. What do we want to do for the future of the Pokemon franchise? It obviously was like, hey, we're not going to do Sword and Shield formula anymore. Like, we want to change a little bit more. We still want the sales and still want to be Pokemon, but we want to change it up a bit. So I'm glad that they took a little bit more time to think about Legends Arceus and then turning it into a mainline game like Scarlet and Violet. I'm glad that they're taking a little bit more time to do this, and I hope they continue to do that. I know they want to keep up with sales or whatever, but I think Pokemon, the brand itself, they can't take 4 or 5 years, but they can take a good amount of time before they sell. But I understand at the same time they want to have yearly release to be a little bit ubiquitous for the age group, which is kids. Like kids grow up, they grow up fast. After 2 years, they are sucked into Fortnite or something that's constant, right? Something that's constantly churning out new content. Pokemon needs to be a little bit more updated as well. And so,
good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyways.
I think that I had a backwards thought before I learned this, where I remember we were saying that the open world of, and I know it's not open world, but you know what I mean when I say that, of Legends Arceus was inspired by the open world. What was it called? The open area? What was it called?
Like open area. Yeah.
Is that what it was called? I feel like I don't even remember.
It's like open zone or something. I don't even know.
How do we not remember?
It's like
the wild area. The wild area.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's what it was. How the openness of Legends Arceus was inspired by the wild area, but now I'm wondering if it's a little bit backwards, that they knew that they wanted to go kind of a more open route for Legends Arceus and said, hey, why don't we test the waters and make a wild area, open area in Sword and Shield? So I feel like maybe those conversations were happening simultaneously instead of expanding on the one idea, which is I think how we originally thought about it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
Feel like, I don't know. Are they thinking about Gen 10 right now? They could be.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I'm sure they're way ahead of the game. They're like, okay, what is our? I think they are planning the next. I would say until 2024, 2025. I think they're thinking of next year's game, the game after that. What's it gonna be? Is it gonna be a remake? Is it gonna be Let's Go, or is it gonna be something else? Because they gotta have something. They have to have something almost yearly during the holiday season. And I think that's how they get, still the age group that they do, to become ubiquitous along with the holiday season for the parents.
It makes sense.
So,
I think that's kind of cool how it gives us a little bit of insight into like what their timelines are like.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense.
And I'm glad they're expanding too. They, you got the completely different studio that's now remaking their games in Unity. Hopefully they improve than what they did with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But at least they have someone else that can focus a little bit more on the remakes of games, and so they can be specialized in those games, whereas they can just take their time and experiment with the mainline Pokemon games.
I don't know. Careful what you say. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were a little bit rough.
Yeah. That was the first one.
I didn't think it was possible for a Pokemon game to be more rough than developed by Game Freak themselves, but here we are.
I just hope they become a little bit more open. I understand they need this yearly release for Pokemon, but I honestly would love to see some more side stuff, some more bigger side stuff. I love Pokemon Coliseum and Stadium. I like the tactical RPG Pokemon Conquest. I just hope they venture out a little bit more in the game space than what they have with, like, the MOBA Pokemon Unite in the mobile games and stuff like that. So
yeah, good point. Why don't you take us through the Gamescom roundup?
So Gamescom happened, guys. Can you believe it? It happened. I watched the opening night. There was barely anything Switch related or Nintendo related. It was mainly, games that are multi-platform. So I'm just going to go through some of my highlights, because I have some highlighted games in here that's coming on Switch, and also just some other things that happened. First off, did you see this Mini Cooper?
I wrote about this, and I had to watch the trailer 3 times before I understood what was happening.
Oh my gosh. So they made a Pikachu concept car.
It's an electric car, right?
It's an electric car.
It's a concept for an electric car.
I don't get these concept cars. I'm sure Donnie knows way more about this stuff than I do, but I'm just like, why do you need this? And I think Jeff Keighley kind of notioned to that. It's like, why did you make this car? It's like, and they're like, we want to be in the culture. And the culture is Pikachu.
This is Mini Coopers, by the way, for people like the Mini Cooper car, the company Mini.
Right, Mini Cooper. And it looked cool. It had the little Pikachu electronic steering wheel or whatever. I think the headlights was actually a projector for Pokemon anime shows or something like that, right?
So I went on their website because I had to write about this, and they wanted to create a concept that, how you can plug in your smartphone into your cars now, and like it does stuff like it, you can make your car send text messages for you. You can make it play your music, things like that. They wanted to make the concept of having fun the same way of plugging in your smartphone that you can plug in your game console. And so you're right, it's a projector that you can like play your video games in your car with the projector. Like it's a concept. It's not a real thing, but it's like I don't know. It was weird. I didn't like it.
It was very weird. And just concept cars, I get. You want to figure out what can happen in the future, what future capabilities you want in a car. that's cool. I think that's, you kind of need that, but this type of way, I'm just like, I don't want to like play video games while I drive. Car for me is like, I drive from point A to point B. I am looking at the road. I am not trying to have fun with my
Even
car.
if you have a self-driving car, I know a lot of these, electric car companies are starting to look towards that self-driving. They already exist. They're already out there, these self-driving cars.
It's Tesla, yeah.
You're not supposed to be using the Tesla. They have that screen that you can play like Stardew Valley and like Rocket League and stuff on these screens already.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to do that while the car is self-driving, because you're still supposed to be like in the driver's seat, paying attention, like ready to respond in case something happens. But
there's already been major accidents with self-driving. That's a whole other subject I can get into. Right
there's
now,
accidents with human cars, human driving cars.
No. Well, electric cars they can be worse though, because the batteries in them, if any point in contact with them, they're a lot more dangerous than a gasoline car. Okay. So yeah. Anyways, Pikachu concept car. It happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird. That happened the Gamescom opening night. I want to opening night happened. I didn't really care much for a lot of games outside of Switch. The two games,
boring.
It was kind of boring. The two games that were showcased that I'm very interested in. One is actually it wasn't a surprise because it was leaked. But I'm pleasantly surprised by it. Is the new Tales from the Borderlands. Ever heard of Tales from the Borderlands, Rebecca? Yeah, it's the Telltale game. And it was all about a self-contained story in the Borderlands universe.
Made by Telltale?
5 episodes. Yeah, made by Telltale. It was out in like 2014, 2015, something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was actually very good. It's I would say one of Telltale's stronger games for sure. Okay. I really enjoyed it, and I love the lore in Borderlands as well. So Tales from the Borderlands, go check it out. It's out on Switch too. But the new Tales from the Borderlands was showcased here, and this is coming out later this year on Switch. And it's all one contained package for $50. So it's not separate episodes or whatever. You are going to be playing 3 different characters and 3 different perspectives in the same storyline over course of 24 hours, which is actually a neat concept I haven't seen too much of in that kind of narrative sense. So I'm interested to how this game responds. This game is actually developed by Gearbox, and Gearbox hired some developers from Telltale after they went down. These are in-house writers that came from Telltale, and they're making a game for Gearbox. We'll see how that goes. I like the premise of the game. They're getting into certain companies that they haven't talked about as much. So I'm very interested in the lore and how this Borderlands game does. The next one I have, which I don't know why, I'm just very enthralled by this game. Hogwarts Legacy was shown off, and it looks so good. I just cannot wait for that game. I know there were crickets yesterday in the PSVG podcast. You told me about that. I am the number one Hogwarts Legacy fan right now because it looks so good.
I think you are completely alone in the PSVG crew on that.
I accept that. But I would highly recommend not getting this on Switch, because I think it will be a pile of steaming garbage on Switch. I
didn't even know it was supposed to come to Switch.
It was announced for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and then PS5 and PC and Series. But they delayed it. The PS5 and Xbox Series X is coming out in February. And the Switch is delayed and to be revealed soon. And it's a native port, guys. They admit this is a native port, not a cloud port. I think what's going to happen, they're going to switch it to a cloud port, hush, hush, and 6 months later, it's going to be out via cloud. But just don't play it via cloud or on Switch in general. Just get on PlayStation 5 or Xbox or PC. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Other than that, there was the Future Game Showcase. You guys might want to check it out because there's a lot of like indie/AA developed games in there. I thought some
I
of
didn't
them
even know
looked
this
pretty
took
cool.
place.
Yeah, and it's like about an hour and a half. The host actually one was the voice of oh man, what's his the main character in God of War? What's his name? I even
Kratos?
forgot. Kratos, yes. Yeah, no, he's like one of the hosts in there, and it's so weird to hear him in his deep dark voice with all these games. Like this game is coming out on PlayStation 5.
Oh, that's so
I'm like,
cool. I like
oh my
that.
goodness. It was actually a pretty neat little show. Lots of smaller games, a lot of games coming out on Switch, so go check that out for sure. But yeah, other than that, Gamescom is whatever. Not much going on Switch land for sure.
Why don't you take this next one as well?
Literally, it's just the title of the article will speak for itself, guys. Nintendo to reduce Switch packaging by 20%. By
That's actually a good amount.
Biz.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, that
20%.
is.
That's like what, a fifth?
That is
a
a fifth.
That's a fifth. A fifth.
A fifth.
Like,
yeah, and
like
that
much.
looks. Yeah, about that much. Yeah, a good shave off for sure. Oh, John 32 said Sonic Frontiers. Yeah, no, I'm not touching that pile of garbage either. Sorry, guys.
People are saying it looks good.
Yeah, no, I don't know who these people are. It's like everyone else, but I have an obscene hatred against Sonic. I just don't. Okay, I watched this trailer and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this looks so good. I'm like, this is the most contrasting thing I've ever seen in my life. It looks so futuristic, Neo, and then you see a blue hedgehog just running through stuff. And I'm like, what is going on with this game? I don't understand it. And I will never touch this game. I don't care if this game is received well. I have an obscene hatred against this blue hedgehog. And that's it.
Wow, we are the Hating Sonic the Hedgehog podcast because I feel the same way.
Oh, dang, all right.
This game does not interest me. I'm sorry.
I think we're in the minority here.
I mean, okay, I hope that Sonic fans, I hope it's good for the sake of Sonic fans because I know they have been through heck and back with having bad game after bad game after bad game, and I do hope that things are better for them.
I think it looks like it looks fine. Like it doesn't look like a bad game. It's just when I see all this futuristic Neo stuff and then like the villains being super obscure and then just a blue hedgehog just running through crap and obstacles and hoops. I'm like, what am I looking at anymore? I don't understand like what's going on.
A good Sonic game, but a mid video game.
There you go. It'll probably be a mid video game.
Anyways.
Oof.
The Pokemon World Championship, whatever the heck they had in London, finished. It took place this weekend, and at the very end, they announced what the new battle standards would be for online ranked battles. Who cares about that? You put that link. I'm going to tell you about what was better. They showed off a new Pokemon. They revealed Cyclizar. It is this green. Have you seen it, Garrett? Did you see this new Pokemon?
I have not seen this one. Cyclizar. If someone in the chat can just spell it out, that would be great.
Cyclizar. Cyclizar. It is a dragon normal type. It looks, you know how the two legendaries have that wheel on their chest? It has that same wheel. It looks like a smaller version of those. It's green. I just want to put it out there that this is consistent with the leaks that I've been reading. It's very consistent. They said that there was going to be a bike Pokemon that was not the legendaries. And what do you know? This is a bike Pokemon. You can ride this. It's a popular one for, you can see there's screenshots of trainers riding it. It says, people riding Cyclizar are a very common sight. It appears Cyclizar don't mind being ridden because of the warmth of a rider helps stave off the cold. It's also consistent with the leak. If anyone doesn't want to hear it, close your ears now for the next 30 seconds. It's consistent with the leaks that talk about it being a like kind of I forget what the words that they use, like an ancient stage, and then the legendaries are like the future stage for it. So like this won't evolve into the legendaries. Apparently, it's like its own Pokemon, but like it's a version of them. Cool,
that sounds good.
Yeah, so this will probably be available to catch in the wild. It's like, I don't know, it's a thing. But it looks pretty cool. It has a new move called Shed Tail. The user creates a substitute for itself using its own HP before switching places. It's basically the same thing as the move substitute.
Right.
But you don't need baton pass for it. It's like substitute plus baton pass. Cool. Yeah, so get hype.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like it.
And then yeah. And then finally, there was a new interview posted on, was this on Reset Era? I think it was.
Yeah. And they translated it from like a
yeah. But it was posted. Yeah. We got it posted on Reset Era. A new interview from Takashi Tokita, who was the man behind Live Alive. I still can't get that name right. Oh yeah, there's an interview. You're right. It's a YouTube interview, and then they translated some of it. He shared in the interview that the Live Alive remake only happened because Nintendo specifically asked him for it. So he shared a couple of interesting things. He was very attached to Live Alive, but as a producer, he recognized that it was a commercial failure at the time, and he never thought that it would come up for a remake. It actually was Nintendo who asked him to put the game on Virtual Console for the 20th anniversary some years ago. That was 8 years ago now, because that game came out the same year we were born. So 8 years ago, they wanted him to put it on the Virtual Console. He talked about how the game is such a melting pot of influences. He wanted people to experience all kinds of situations, showing what games could bring to the table as a medium. He said that the game's script was purposefully written to be impactful in like a very manga/anime way. He wrote it like as if it would be voiced, so kind of more like realistic dialogue, I guess. They selected voice actors for this remake that a lot of them were fans of the original game. I guess like the Japanese voice actors, I would imagine, probably not the American ones, but maybe, I don't know. They took extra care in the remake to try and enhance the way the script works by breaking down some dialogue differently. So a lot of people were talking about how in the unofficial translation, which was very much kept, I think, like very close to what the Japanese wording was, they changed things up in this translation to, I guess, make more sense for American audiences or like Western, like English speaking audiences. Things like that. And yeah, I think it's interesting that Nintendo would ask for this, that they would say like, hey, like, and especially for them to want it on the Virtual Console, but then deciding to do a remake instead. I feel like Nintendo doesn't do that too often.
Yeah, I wonder why Nintendo was really motivated for this specific game, because I never heard of it, or you never really heard of it either before it got announced and got remade. I'm glad that they did, because it's becoming one of those, like, I wouldn't say cult hits or whatever, but it's hitting the right notes for a lot of people on Switch. Of course, a lot of like people who are into RPGs, classic RPGs. This really struck a chord with them, but also just like a lot of other people that are on Switch that would never see this type of game really getting into it as well. Yeah, it's probably not going to be a huge commercial success, just the way the identity of this game and how it's marketed. But I think it's I'm glad Nintendo is seeking out these types of games. It's like, hey, what's sort of cool from like, like older times, and like try to refresh it and reframe it and like be modernized for our console now, and how we can just like bring, I don't know, culture or whatever.
Yeah, I hope that it sells more than the original did, just because I want it to be worth it for them. I'm seeing another quote from here. Did you ever play Dragon Quest IV? Or are you familiar with it at all?
I'm not a big Dragon Quest fan, to be honest with you. I tried a little bit, but not 4.
Because he says also that the game structure is 100% lifted from Dragon Quest IV. And that's interesting to me, because I thought that the structure of the game with all these different storylines was pretty unique, and I had never seen a game do that before. And maybe it was inspired by Dragon Quest. So I'm curious about that game.
I think he means the specific combat, right? Like the placement and the tactical. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Not the structure sure of like the picking a character, doing their story, moving on.
Yeah. Again, I'm not familiar with Dragon Quest IV, so don't take
maybe
my word
somebody,
for it.
maybe a listener can educate us then.
Yeah, educate us, because we don't know.
Yeah, so I think that's cool, and it just goes to show that they are willing to do stuff like that. So that's the end of our news segment. Let's close out the show as we always do with our questions directly from you, starting with Ghost Days 99, who wants to know, if they made a Splatoon cereal, what do you think would be the best name for it? What do you think would be the worst name for it?
I actually didn't see this question before.
I know. I added this one to the list because it was it wasn't on here, but I was trying to think of some stuff, and I was trying to come up with like some puns.
Yeah, like cereal squid.
The best thing I came up with, and this is based on one of the character bosses, DJ Octavios, because of DJ Octavio. Octavios.
That's good.
Yeah, I was also trying to think of something like a pun with woomy, like something woomy.
This requires me for being creative, and I just can't right now.
Captain Cuttlefish Crunch.
That's a good one. I would try that out.
Fruity Woomies, says Jules. Fruity Woomies. Vimo.
I was thinking something so generic, like Splatoonios or something.
Splatoonios! I love the Splatoon lore and characters and stuff, so I'm trying to think of what else would be good. Yeah, I feel like I want to do a mock-up now. I want to do like a mock-up of like a Splatoon cereal.
I'm thinking of the box and everything, how they would phrase it.
It would be very colorful. It would have to be something with like lots of different like rainbow colors. Like I'm thinking like a Lucky Charms type of cereal.
Do you think they would have food coloring like packaged with the cereal? So when you like pour the cereal, you can like put some food coloring in your milk, and so it would be like black.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm thinking like, instead of cereal, like you know how like some yogurts did that, where like is that Trix yogurt, where it's like white and then you put the mix in it and then you mix it up and then it turns into like pink or green or whatever? Didn't we used to have yogurt like that as a kid? Was that Trix?
Was it Trix or Go-Gurt? Kind of.
No, Go-Gurt was the
tube. I think I know what you're talking about, though. It's like you mix it around.
Something like that. I don't know. But that's what I'm
thinking. Big Man Crunch, Kyle the Puck says.
Big Man Crunch. I like it. Splatos. Yeah, lots of ink splats. I could definitely see. I want to design that. I wish I was a graphic designer so I could like make it look good. But you know what? I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm not a big cereal fan, to be quite honest with you. Never was.
I go through phases with cereal. With like cereal, I will like not eat it for months and months and months, and then I'll eat like an entire box in like 2 nights.
Nice.
And it has to be at like midnight. Like I'll just get like a random craving at like midnight, and I'll have like 4 bowls of cereal in a row.
Just grab some.
No, like with milk. Like I would just, I don't know, like 1 bowl of cereal is not enough.
Yeah, I don't know. The cereal is just fine with me.
Do you remember Pokemon cereal? Did you have that as a kid?
No, I didn't.
They had a
Oh,
collaboration. I don't know who it was with, but I remember it.
I
And then
normally
remember
just
they came
had
out with the
Captain
Mario
Crunch.
cereal a couple years ago?
Yeah, there was a Mario cereal. I
Mhm.
remember that. Man, it was never. Oh man, there was Pokemon Pop Tarts. I would be down for that. I was a big Pop Tart kid.
Wait, I'm going to show you the Pokemon
Compared to the
cereal.
series. Okay,
It was.
I could share it on the screen too.
Yeah. Can I send it to you on Twitter?
Yeah, sure.
It was
Very
so
easy.
good, and I'm pretty sure I kept the boxes for a very long time. I had like 2 of them. I remember we just kept. Not with the cereal in it. I ate the cereal, but it was Kellogg's, a collaboration with Kellogg's.
Of course, it's
Limited
Kellogg.
edition Pokemon. It's Pikachu holding a little spoon. It looks like it's basically the same thing as Lucky Charms. It looks like it's like a little Cheerio type thing with marshmallows in it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got a
Articuno,
little
Ditto,
Pikachu.
Meryl.
Yeah.
This must have been when they were like easing into the second generation of Meryls there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you got
I was
that
all about that.
Articuno looks very like interesting. Like
The old,
the
like very
design
old art.
Yeah, seems a little off. Definitely first gen.
Definitely. Oh boy. Yarden wants to know, you're not Nintendo, but if you were, what would your future PC release strategy look like? What IP would be off limits and fair game? I just want Metroid to sell better.
What do you think about Nintendo games being sold on the PC platform? First off,
I don't think they'll ever do it. And
Okay.
I don't think they should do it for new releases, but I think that it would make a heck of a virtual console type deal if they pulled a Game Pass PC or whatever and put all their retro games on PC for nostalgia's sake. They're pulling all these ROMs anyway. Just sell them. Just sell them to us.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Nintendo is very focused around their console. It's not like Microsoft or Sony, where they're pretty agile with their games because they're compatible with like PC and other consoles. It's multi-platform. Whereas I feel like with Nintendo and with Nintendo's like Switch games, it's like it's just kind of fixated on the console. It's like, it's for that console itself. And then if you try to port it over to a PC, optically, it's gonna be weird because it's gonna be vastly better specs. You're gonna have to target for those specs too. It's gonna look weird. Like Mario's gonna look, I'm just thinking of an example, Monster Hunter Rise. Actually, Monster Hunter Rise was ported over to Steam. It was targeted for Switch. It was developed on Switch. You can tell it's developed for Switch. But once they ported over PC, you got that 4K, 60 frames, look buttery smooth. But the problem was it was dedicated for targeted Switch specs. So actually Monster Hunter fans couldn't get used to the controls because the controls was meant for 30 frames per second. Yeah. Actually, it was sort of weird.
So let's say that they do this. Let's say they port XYZ of their first party games onto PC. Who is this for? Who's buying these?
That's another thing too. I'm not too sure.
I don't think they have an audience on PC. You say that you want Metroid to sell better. I don't think Metroid would sell half as much on PC as it would on Switch, and it doesn't even sell that much on Switch.
Before Sony really dived into their PC stuff, I didn't know what audience they had on PC either. And now they're finding this untapped potential of profit there. And so
But I feel like
think
that
there
makes
could
sense
be.
for a lot of their IPs. I don't think that makes sense for Nintendo's IPs. I don't know. I don't think anybody would buy Metroid on PC. We would.
I think
maybe.
if Nintendo ever, I agree with you. If Nintendo ever did something on PC, it would be retro stuff. It would definitely be Nintendo Switch Online related. You would be hard pressed to have an installed Nintendo game on PC licensed by Nintendo. They do not want mods on there.
That's
That's the
another thing.
thing.
That's another thing. They're so highly protective over what you can do with their games. Like they took down people's creations. Like people tried to make Mario stuff in Dreams. Remember that game Dreams on PS4? They were taking down stuff like that because they do not want people messing with their IP. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I of course there will be a lot of sales on Steam, but just compared to like what the other ramifications was being on PC, I just don't know. I think Nintendo is just not focused there. They already have their audience. It's on their platforms.
I agree. I don't think they need to be. I don't think it does any good for them.
At least for now. I could change my mind in like 3 or 4 years if they're doing something on.
Yeah.
I could see more of an online platform, streaming platform on PC more than anything. Not
like I don't want people to twist my words here. Like I am very much, for the most part, against console exclusives. Like I think the more places it's available, the better. But just like for the sake of if I were Nintendo, what would I do? Like I just don't see a reason for it.
I think I want to separate too between second party Nintendo published titles and first party titles as well. I feel like we're saying mainly about first party titles.
Yes. Yeah. I wasn't thinking, I know people in chat are talking about like Bayonetta and stuff. Like I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, Bayonetta, Marvel vs. Capcom, and some other things. Of course, yes, port it over to Steam. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, I think that does make sense. And like,
should do that.
In fact, I think like all not first party games should be everywhere. Like, I think keep first party games on Nintendo. Keep the Marios and Zeldas and Metroids on Nintendo. Keep the Uncharted's and Last of Us's on on PlayStation, and keep the Halos on Xbox. That's fine. What I don't like is, the other stuff being exclusive.
Yeah, I'm very much more open on Xbox and PlayStation now that they're going on to like I don't care if people wants to buy these games. I just think Nintendo doesn't I just don't think they want that culture of Steam and PC for their first party platforms. They're very protective of it. They don't want it modded. They don't want this kind of community set up. I just don't think they're thinking about that.
And what Maddie just said, like, what we were saying, how there really isn't an audience for that, I think, on PC. He brought up how God of War is not making that much money on Steam anyway. It's because the people who want to play it already have a PlayStation. Like the Sony market is on Sony consoles. The Nintendo market, the people who want to play these already have a Switch or just don't care.
Yeah. It's going to change a lot for PlayStation though. They have a studio dedicated for PC porting. And I think in next 2 years, Sony is going to be like, hey, we're going to, some first party titles like day and date PC and PlayStation. And of course, they'll give them more money. So of course they'll go for it.
The future will be wild.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Nintendo does with PC if they ever do anything in the next 5 years. Yeah.
Can you read this next question because I'm disgusted by it?
Donnie asks, if Wind Waker / Twilight are announced to say this upcoming fall or spring, what do you think that means for Breath of the Wild 2? Are we officially delayed until new system territory? That's a question.
I don't. I can't manifest this. I don't think it's gonna happen. I cannot.
Yeah. So he asked this question because Jeff Grubb mentioned something.
I know, because Jeff Grubb is the catalyst to all of this and all of my problems.
What did Grubby Snack say? What did he just say Twilight
He tweeted
Princess?
out a poll that said, do y'all still believe that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are coming out on the Nintendo Switch? Yes, no, never believed it. And I voted for never believed it.
Oh, I said yes. Yeah. Yeah, I just want, that's a good question. I would think, I honestly think Breath of the Wild 2 is their test game on the Switch Pro. They're delaying it, and they're like, that's gonna be their their re-release of the new console, and then a simultaneous release, of course, because the Switch is still a Switch game.
Stop. You can't you can't speak these words into the universe.
And I don't like the thing with Wind Waker and Twilight, we kind of joined them together.
I don't think they're releasing both of them.
Yeah.
I think they do one.
Okay, they do
Wind Waker in spring, Breath of the Wild 2 holiday. I think that could happen.
That could definitely happen for sure. Yeah. Yeah, other than that, I don't really particularly care as much into this question, other than I just think Breath of the Wild 2 is the target game for the new Switch Pro. And
why that? Why does it have to be that? Why can't it be something else?
I just think it's just a huge game. It's like it's going to be the biggest Nintendo game, and you've seen the tweets, right? It's like this has been the longest ever since the previous main Zelda game has been released in 5 years or whatever. It's obviously,
and it shouldn't have been, because it's the same engine, it's the same assets, so it is a little unprecedented.
It's just so weird that we don't know much about it too. We still say it's Breath of the Wild 2.
I know.
It's not going to be called that. Yeah, and I can totally see Wind Waker. You know what? It would be very nice if one of those two actually came out this year on holiday. That would be really cool, actually. I would be down for Wind Waker.
I think we're getting too late for that. I think we would know about it by now.
Yeah, it would have been this month if they announced something. Maybe something next week. I heard possibly a direct next week. We'll see.
Okay. Next week. No, they would not have a direct until after Splatoon comes out. The earliest we're getting a direct is the second week of September, 14th. Yeah, September 14th. That's when the direct is.
Cool.
Canadian Crawler wants to know, what topic would you like to see covered on Sakurai's new YouTube channel?
I just want him to explain every Super Smash Bros. Character. In just full and great detail. I want to go from Mario and then all the way down to Captain Falcon and Ness.
If he did that once a week, that would be like 2 years worth of content.
Oh, that would be lovely. I would be so into that. Just see him explain the intricacies, the mechanics, the hitboxes on all of these characters. So unique. He's such a brilliant guy.
He is. I don't know. I don't have any expectations for it. I think I would like to see more of the early day stuff. And maybe he already has some of this in his videos. I haven't watched them yet, but tell me more about the inspiration behind Kirby. Tell me about the, what got him into, maybe he's shared some of these things already. I don't know a lot about the man. I just want him to give us nuggets of things that we've never heard of before from way back when. Mm-hmm. West 3DP says, complete the sentence. Touch fuzzy, get.
Blank.
Well, you know the original, right?
What's the original?
Touch Fuzzy, Get Dizzy from Yoshi's Island. It's one of the levels where there's little puff balls, and if you touch one, then you get high and you get dizzy, and then like the whole screen goes like this, and you stumble around. You get dizzy. I think he's asking this because one of the Splatoon tweets said, touch Fuzzy, get splatty or something like that, because in the single player, if you touch the little fuzz stuff, it hurts you. So it was like a good reference on Nintendo's part.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It just reminds me of, ever heard of the comic book line Get Fuzzy?
No.
Oh, it's a comic book line, and it's just this very dry humor of this dog and cat and this single mid-30s guy, and just, I don't know. It's like an older like adult cartoon comic, and I remember used to reading it. So that's what it reminded me of is the Get Fuzzy comic books.
I'm gonna complete the sentence: touch Fuzzy, get happy, because my cat is fuzzy, and when I pet him, I get happy.
He is an adorable kid, for sure.
Touch Fuzzy, get serotonin boost.
Boom.
Kyle the Pug wants to know, how many hours do you plan on playing Splatoon 3 once it releases, and will those hours be over or under 70 hours for the first weekend? Doing a little bit of math here, that only gives me 2 hours of sleep, Kyle the Pug. He also wants to know, what do you predict will be your most played mode?
Oh, definitely the card mode. I'm ready for that. I think I'm the number one Splatoon card mode fan.
And it's not even out yet, but you will be. You will be.
I will be. I'll be on top of it for sure. 70 hours. Oh gosh. I don't think I'm even gonna put 7 hours. I would imagine 3 to 4 the first weekend. Maybe 5 hours in the first weekend.
I hope that I will not put that many hours into the first weekend, because I'm hoping that I'll have that many hours before release.
Oh, there's also, is that a 3-day weekend as well, or is that the next week?
Oh, is it? Oh, I don't know. No, it's not. Labor Day is next week. It's Monday,
it's
right?
next week. Got it.
And then Rosh Hashanah is at the end of the month for those of y'all who celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Got
it. Yeah, it's the following weekend.
Okay. Man, cool. I'm so excited. Oh, and most play mode. I'm a little disappointed that there are no new ranked modes, but I will definitely play a lot of ranked. I also put a stupid amount of hours into Salmon Run in Splatoon 2. Therefore, I think I will put many more hours into Salmon Run. It looks really good this time, and it is my favorite mode for teaming up with friends.
Salmon Run is awesome, for sure.
And then finally, G-Man wants to know, what is one thing that makes you scream for joy? It would either be a movie, a show, video game. What are you excited about? Right now, I'm thinking Splatoon just because that's on my mind.
I'm thinking of like surprises, like some big game reveal or whatever. Fallout 4 was a big one for me. That I screamed for joy. What was another one that? It was a more recent one that I got really excited about.
For me, it was Splatoon 3 because I was so adamant about it not happening.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was a big one. I didn't scream for joy, but I was very excited when it got revealed.
Animal Crossing New Horizons, that's a good one.
Movie or show, I'm not really big into those, so yeah, even Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but it's just so played out. Like they churn that thing like it's milk. It's just they're just milking the whole thing right now, like all the time. So I'm not like too excited. Every time it's like, oh, here's a new show, I'm like, oh yeah, like the 20 other shows that are coming out this year. So yeah,
Stranger Things, I get excited about that. I really like that show.
Me too. It's a really good show for sure. Fire Emblem, whenever that gets remade or released or announced, I'll be screaming for joy. Man, there was one that caught me by surprise. I just can't think of it right now, though. I think it was in Game Awards or something. But yeah, normally a big game reveal would have me really excited.
I like it. All right. I think that is going to do it for this week. Good show. Long show. We had some good stuff to talk about this week.
For sure.
And so remember, hashtag Team Rock for the Splatfest this weekend. If not, I'll see you on the battlefield. Little quick self-promo. I mentioned this the other week, but I am currently doing the giveaway for the Colorware Super Nintendo Pro Controller. So I have a tweet right now. Nice. Go retweet it. Go follow Colorware. And you will be in the running to win a controller just like this one. So yeah, just wanted to hashtag product placement, throw that out there.
Nice.
And so then we will see you next week, Koopalings. Have a good weekend and see you next time.
Bye-bye.